I ask you one question, 1 minute you're on fire, and we are going home by 7 p.m. But here we are. What happened last year? Because last year came through with COVID, and this was the second edition. Did we still talk about technology? I do believe at that time people had gone back home,
yeah,
and they had realized that a lot of things should be happening at home. So embracing digital and technology was very, very important. Just a quick overview of what happened then.
Yeah, last year, let's say the previous year, when we were speaking about how media houses can be sustainable or how they can diversify their revenues, the issue about venturing into technology came up, and media houses were invited to just start somewhere, because there you would be able to increase some audiences and also use these online platforms to actually try and get some more money to build the business, but also support quality journalism. And so while we left the conference thinking, yeah, this is what we're going to do, the next year came in, and you have COVID-19, and the initial problems that journalists were facing actually compounded. And during that journey, some of the people who attended started going back to the notes that that came up from 2019. And so we saw a sudden rise in efforts to try and go online, and people who were playing with their online platforms started actually increasing activity there, because at one point, like you said, some media houses were not really accessible. I mean, some media platforms were not easily accessible, the traditional ones. And so suddenly there was an increase, right? But then with that, there was a question of how do you remain relevant? Have you actually considered who your audiences are? Are you just using technology for its sake? Have you found actually practical ways of raising revenue? And so it's been a journey, and some in our conversations with different people, some have fallen off the radar, others are taking on the journey, because now it's a bit post-COVID, but what does that mean for all these initiatives using technology to promote actually good journalism, or using technology to try and get audiences and to try and raise revenues? What is the story now? How are people being able to make headway beyond the first step?
Yeah, but you mentioned that the invite went to media houses in the first place.
Yeah.
Eventually, did you get to individuals, whereby I do believe there was competition between media houses and individuals? Did you even think of inviting individuals at that point?
Yeah, there were individuals who were there, who took it up, who took certain initiatives to try and do something online, maybe writing more online, setting up their own online spaces. There were other guys at that time who had just started the small online publications, and they kind of expanded a bit. But then again, the question was whether they're actually being profitable online, whether they're actually being relevant online. Those are the things that were kind of the missing links, because it just looked like a wave, like now everybody's online, so let's go online, because now not everybody can access all the traditional media that they wanted to achieve. And so you find that, again, there are very many questions, and I think some of them came up earlier on the quality of the journalism that's happening online, or the quality of communication, actually, that is happening in the online spaces.
And now, it being in your docket, we are going to a period where things are going to change, almost going back to normal. And we have seen technology being put to use, a lot of innovation and the like. This, most of our media houses to individual journalists. And when we talk about how the transition is going to be affecting what they're doing, and when we talk about going ahead, and we're going to see a setback to 2 years ago and how things were, Like now, individuals were competing with media houses, journalists were competing with their media houses when it came to putting out information. Aren't the media houses going to go back and take back their space? I don't know if I'm making sense. In the sense, like, innovation has been there, and this has gone back. It went to people's houses. They were doing this from their sitting rooms. January, everything is going to go back to normal. Warrant the innovations that they put in place during COVID be affected, that they won't be relevant anymore?
Yeah, it's a catch-22 because a lot has changed since the COVID-19 pandemic. Quite a lot has changed. And I think also that audiences have become fragmented. The only issue there where you suggest is because people seem to be demanding truth and quality information, because there was a lot of disinformation, a lot of exaggeration of communication. So I think you might find that audiences might go back and say, yeah, this maybe Observer newspaper website still speaks the truth. Let me just go back to it. Because again, the quest now might be for quality journalism. That's my speculation. But in terms of the gains, I mean, many people have gotten some gains in this journey. So why should they stop? They can still continue. But again, there are many other factors, like the regulatory environment, that is a bit complex. So I wouldn't think that the space is going to be affected by each other, but it could be other factors that could affect that. And another thing is just to bring it back to our attention, that what's the meaning of innovation and what's the meaning of technology? Does it have to be really big tech and all that stuff? What does innovation mean for somebody in Karamoja? What does innovation mean for the guys who are having a small community radios, maybe somewhere in Butaleja? So again, what does innovation mean, you know?
Well, thank you very much. And unless you have more remarks before I do welcome my panel of discussants who are going to take up technology and innovation. Interested in this, I'm looking forward to that. Please, thank you very much.
Welcome.
I thought you had refused to go back to your seat. A round of applause for Jan. Thank you very much. Well, just a quick reminder that we are online. Our friends that who are watching on Zoom, we welcome you. Our YouTube is also quite active. We are watching live from there, various individuals, so look out for our links and channel in particular. We need you to share that and share all the other content on all various platforms, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook. I think those are the ones that are active currently. I'll mention others as we proceed. In the earlier sessions, as I mentioned, we went through media viability as it remains our point of discussion to find and forge a way that we have gone through a period in time where COVID affected so many things. And there's been creativity, there's been innovation. How relevant this is going to stay in place? Some of this is going to, again, shut down and go back to the old, or we are going to proceed with that. Our theme remaining, navigating obstacles in Ugandan journalism. So we move on to the next level and next step, as I do welcome individuals who are going to be part of the innovations and technology for media viability. Ladies and gentlemen, please do welcome Mr. Mpindi Abbas. Abbas is, if I may say, a co-founder at Media Challenge Initiative. It has come through with lots of young journalists who are participating in new media. And the media that we are yet to see, and we've seen already some fruits here testifying of what has been happening. And also, welcoming next, please do welcome a gentleman who needs no introduction, Mr. Fatboy. Fatboy is the CEO at RX Radio, and seasoned radio personality, and is an innovator, we all know. Other things, I think he'll be able to speak for himself. I might say something and he's like, no, you lied there. He's a very honest man. Coming forth, please, Paul Kirungi, please come forth. Paul Kirungi is a founder at Zofi Cash. I'll tell you about Zofi Cash as time unfolds, and he will be taking up a discussion on how media is covering innovation as well. And please do welcome from Infonile, Madame Anika McGuinness. I've been worried to pronounce this name, but I just took it up. And Infonile takes up a lot of work with various journalists, especially working with Environment Plus and other things that I should be able to discuss with you. There was a complaint earlier on, gentleman and lady, that gender balance is a very important thing. I don't know who chose the panel, but it wasn't me. I was just given that, it wasn't you, Abbas. I was just given the duty to introduce you, but it's good to have you all here. We've been having fun the entire day, and we keep the spirit much more until tomorrow. We have 2 days here. It's the media week, and we are trying to forge a way. We are compiling notes in one way or the other that we'll take home so that we can learn from the same. For those of you that never attended the morning sessions, they gave us a preamble. They gave us a recap of what had happened in the past. Of course, in the past conferences, 2 of them, this is the 3rd one. But I can't go about that. Probably I will welcome Ruth later on to take through some of the individuals that weren't there. Now, here we are. We are talking technology, we are talking innovation, we are talking COVID. I don't know how this has affected any one of you. If I may start with you, Paul Kirungi, I'll carry this microphone to you. We do have a sanitizer, and some of us have been in one way or the other immunized. I'll start with you, Paul, and how this affected you, how it turned your mind into being a creative mind or someone who jumps into innovation, and what exactly did you get out of this? Was it, did it turn out to be something bad proving to be positive on your side? Let's start from there in a nutshell.
Right. Thank you so much, Sean. My name is Paul Kirungi. I'm the CEO and founder of Zofi Cash. Zofi Cash is a digital financial platform that does take care of employees' financial emergencies.
So you have money.
I just wanted to make that clear.
It's good to have you here.
But thank you. So COVID, I would say that COVID was a double-edged sword, not just for me, not just for our company, but I think for different people. Very sad that we've lost so many lives. But on the other hand, we've had so many people that have come out triumphantly. There's been so many businesses that have actually progressed from this. And for on the other side of innovation, when COVID hit, we're almost launching our product. We're almost bringing it to the market. But then COVID happened, and then people had to shift. People had to go to work from home. With that, that gave us more time to actually fine-tune what we're working on. And by the time we brought it on the market, it was a fine product. And now that didn't just happen for me, but I've had a lot of people who are in the startup world, people who are in the innovations, that gave them so much time. They bought time, literally. They bought time to innovate, to make their products better. And for the businesses that did not take the time to think outside the box, all of them closed. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them closed, and others are still struggling. So for me, it was a double-edged sword. It came with the good and the bad, and always the good moves with the bad. So yeah, that's my take.
So the period and time that you hesitated to go ahead and launch your product, was it because you thought there's no money out there in the market? What was it about? I think that would have been the right time for you to launch the product.
It was a lot of things. We are a B2B, so businesses were closed. There was no way we were going to start reaching out to businesses. And then places of work were closed, like buildings where we rent our offices were closed. People couldn't come to work in the office. So it was just a bunch of things. And for those that could afford to work from home, it was also a lot because so many people had not planned for it. Like working from is not just like having a computer and then someone sits on and starts working. I remember while working, I called one of the people that I was expecting something from, and the guy was busy in the market shopping, thinking he should be working, like working from, he should be working, this is my working time, but they're busy shopping. So yeah, it was a bunch of things.
Well, thank you very much. As I move to you, Mr. Fatboy, thanks very much for allowing to come. And,
thank you.
It's been a season where when COVID started, you made a transition because you are a media practitioner. Precisely, you were at Sanyo FM and then you moved somewhere else. And Shell, something else came through. And they were like, oh my God, Fatboy is here. This is something else. It was a great innovation. And our subject comes through with media viability. How did COVID affect you, and is it a positive or negative thing as you look at it? As you may start from there.
Well, I think, like he said, it was good and it was bad. It was bad in the sense that there was obviously tremendous human tragedy, lives were lost. Businesses were destroyed, people were laid off, life was hard, people were hungry. At the same time, opportunities were created, or I should say, opportunities were there to be found by those who looked for them. And so when the lockdowns first started, at least I started to see a tremendous shift towards a lot of online activity, online consumption of media, and also online retail was also booming at about that time. So the internet became sort of the new space where people were operating. Now, I would say at the time I came in, there weren't that many players in the media that were sort of predominantly in the online space. Many media houses have one foot in the online space. So the terrestrial radios that I compete with, they will have their live streams available to be accessed on different platforms or on their own websites. So my challenge was that if I was going to do an online radio, what value could I add to make my product more attractive and appealing, or to give it a reason for its existence? Obviously, I benefit tremendously from a degree of brand recognition. My name is known by some people. So it means that if I go out in the market and I say I've started something, I am more likely to attract attention. Because I've thought about if someone new or who had never been in radio before tried to do this, would they have had the same response? And I tend to think probably not. And so at the same time, then what I'm doing is quite important in paving the way for others who now will find a market or an industry whose viability has been tested. Because as a pioneer in the online radio realm, in the sense that I'm the one that's sort of pushing it, I'm an exclusively online platform, and I am pushing it aggressively, and I'm competing aggressively with the bigger players. It means that doors are opening for others who may want to follow in this footstep, and to not maybe acquire FM broadcasting licenses and to compete on a terrestrial level. Also, in terms of the kind of confidence we're inspiring in the market from businesses, advertisers, things like this, because those were hurdles we had to climb. You walk into an office and someone says, yeah, but online radio, is it just on the internet? Okay, but do people even listen to you? So like those conversations, I keep having them with the people I interact with, and then they see that there is actually something to what we are doing. They do see the impact of it. They are seeing the growth. And so I think we've made it easier for others who in future may want to try something similar. At least they will enter a market in which online radio has been tested and deemed successful.
If I may ask, was it your dream or something that you had thought about? Were you thinking of even starting a radio station if I thought it was going to be not even online?
It was actually, I would say, it was a retirement plan. And that's the reason I was able to come out with it quite quickly. Because I lost my job in June of 2020. By August of 2020, I'd already announced the radio and I was already streaming it. So it was a retirement project that had been.
So you were pushed to your retirement earlier.
Yeah. So the basic pieces had been in place, actually, were in place, but in a rough form. It wasn't like refined.